Welcome to the Powered Now to Xero interface. We're now going to look at the day-to-day running between Powered Now and Xero. First thing we're going to do is turn on the interface to perform automatically. To do that, we go up to the cog up here, click on that. We go to Tax and Accounting. We go to Accounting Integrations, Xero, and then we scroll down. And down here we have the choice between interfacing manually or interfacing automatically. So for now, we're going to switch on automatic transfers. I'll click on automatic. You only ever have to do that once unless you want to switch between the two. Click done, click save, then I go back to the home screen. Right, now what I'd like to do is I would like to go into my contacts and I would like to update the contact details for Acme Limited. So in Acme Limited, I see that the contact details are Benjamin Brown. I'm going to edit that and I'm going to change from Benjamin Brown to Ben J. Brown. I'll save that. Okay, I'll go back to my contact details screen and I'm going to create a new contact. The new contact is in fact Josh Jones. So let's put in their name, Josh Jones. I'll put in some details for mobile. Okay, postcode is going to be TQ14 8PT. We'll choose 8 Woodway Road. We'll save that contact. So I'm back here and I have an additional contact here, Josh Jones, and I've updated Acme Limited. Let's now take a look at what's happened in Xero. So we go into Xero, we refresh the page. What we see now is Josh Jones has arrived here. If we take a look at Acme Limited, we see that Acme Limited has had the contact person updated to Ben J. Brown, and this all happened automatically. That's great. So let's go back to Powered Now, and in Powered Now, let's actually create a sales invoice. Here we go. We're going to create the sales invoice for Josh Jones. The first thing we're going to do is put in labour for installing a fence. So labour install fence, and the quantity, number of hours of labour, 15, cost per hour, 30. We'll save that one. We're charging VAT on that. We'll add a new item, and this will be materials. And the materials are going to come to £370, just the one, and we'll save that. Then we'll move to the next stage, and we'll confirm that invoice. So, has this now created the invoice? Let's go across to Xero and look at the invoices in Xero. And their invoice 001 for Josh Jones has appeared in Xero. There's a couple of interesting things to look at here. First is that once we actually view this invoice, we can then go and see it in Powered Now. There we go, there's the invoice in Powered Now, £984. If we go back into Powered Now, hit the back button, and then go back from the invoice into view it, we now have the option, if we go up here, to view in Xero. Let's click that. Now we can see this same invoice for Josh Jones actually in Xero. That's good. Okay, if we go back into Powered Now, we have another option. That's that we can credit this invoice. So let's try crediting this for an amount, and the value, rather than crediting the whole amount, let's credit 72, which is the cost if we were crediting 2 hours, because the customer complains that he's been charged for 2 hours of work that was in fact lunchtime. So we create a credit for £72, and we can view it here. And of course we have the option of sending it to the customer. Because we're interfacing this into Xero and we're interfacing across approved invoices and credit notes, we'd expect to send them out from Powered Now, because Powered Now has all the ability to put on logos and so on onto the invoices. So let's go back and let's go into Xero and let's have a look where we are. Now you can see the credit note there has come up against Josh Jones of £72. Okay, if we go back into Powered Now and we look at the credit note and the invoice, what we see over here is a little lock sign. That's because the invoice and the credit note have already been sent to Xero. If I click on that invoice and I go up to the options, what you notice is I can't delete it and I can't edit. I don't have that right because it's now gone across into Xero. So that's one of the reasons why we might choose to actually manually interface things into Xero. So if I go up to the cog, I go to tax and accounting, accounting integrations, Xero setup, and I go down, and now I turn off from automatic to manual. I say done, save, and I go back. Now when I create something in Powered Now, it won't actually go across until I manually interface it. The advantage of this is it gives you the chance to actually look at it, possibly change it, make other changes before it goes across. So let's go down to the cost section, and this time let's create a supplier invoice. And the supplier invoice, we've only got one supplier, which is Acme. So I'm creating it on Acme, and it's for Josh Jones. And I'm going to make this nice and simple. It's simply materials. Try and spell that correctly. And the amount of materials is £200. I'll confirm that. I've created the supplier invoice in Powered Now, and I'll now go across and look at this in Xero. So invoices, bills to pay. So there we are. Let's look at the bills to pay, and there aren't any bills showing. So let's go back into Powered Now. Back in Powered Now, I go to Finances, and I go to Accounts Export. And now this has changed. Because I'm interfacing into Xero manually, I have the sync button. So I'll press the sync button, which will send things across to Xero at this point in time. So if I go back into Xero and I look at the bills to pay and refresh the page, now I can see this one, this bill from Acme Limited, supplier invoice from Acme Limited, that now appears here. So that's a quick overview of running the Powered Now to Xero interface. I hope you found that useful.